Let's take these app icons and turn them into horror-themed icons. We're gonna start off pretty easy, but the last one, yeah, you probably won't use that app ever again. So let's get started. We'll warm up with something simple, the X icon. I started with the scoot rectangle in the logo and immediately saw a knife, so I turned it into one. The bottom section became a darker gray, basically the handle. For the other part of the X, I had a better idea. What if this wasn't part of the logo anymore, but a finger? So I masked out a finger, cut both ends so it looked severed, and then desaturated it. Yes, it's a long finger, I know, it had to fit the icon. Then I added blood to the knife and blood to the finger, and that's the X icon. Still recognizable, just not something you would want to click anymore. Next up is the Notes app. First thing I did was recreate the top of the note so I could turn it black. Inside the note, I wrote "The end is near," which already feels like a bad sign. But someone had to write that, so I built a pen from scratch using basic shapes, a metal texture, a pointed tip, and shadows so it actually feels real. Then I added blood spatters on the note and on the pen itself. At that point it still felt slightly off, so I took the metal tip from a real pen and blended it into my custom one using shadows and highlights until it actually belonged there. A few more blood details later and the Notes app was done. Like this video if you don't want a bloody note waiting for you when you get home. Thank you! Oh, by the way, if your ideas look better in your head than in Photoshop, free fixes in the description and in the pinned comment. Alright, things are starting to get serious. Next up, the WhatsApp icon. I rebuilt the logo in high quality so I had full control over every part of it. Pure white felt way too innocent, so I pushed it towards a dirty yellow instead. Then I added a gritty texture to make it feel old and neglected. The phone inside the logo I split into two parts so it looked damaged. After that, I started adding shadows everywhere because without depth, none of this works. The green background got darker and moodier with shadows cast from the logo itself. I warped the textures so they followed the round shape of the icon, and underneath the phone I added a black splatter texture. And then came the long part. You know that part you spend so long on you just want to headbutt your monitor? Yes, that one. Anyways, I used a custom brush to rough up the edges, add cracks, and remove that clean, perfect look. Once that was done, I added blood. First on the logo itself, then dripping from the phone down on the icon, and then I added shadows and highlights to the blood. And I also thought it was a cool idea to add bloody fingerprints to the phone. And finally, spider webs because the icon looks like it hasn't been used in a very long time. Up until now, these icons are still pretty safe. They're creepy, but they're still icons. From this point on, that changes. The next two are where things stop being fun and start getting uncomfortable. Next up is Twitch. Before anything, I made sure I had all the shapes in place. I added texture to every single shape separately, and then I started building that with shadows, front lighting, and hard edge highlights. For the eyes, I painted them from scratch. They had a red base, desaturated orange and white highlights, and then a red glow to make them stand out. After that, I damaged the eyes by erasing parts of them so the texture underneath shows through. Obviously, this wouldn't be horror if there wasn't blood dripping down from the eyes. Then I started working on the tongue and gave it more depth by adding shadows and rough edges so it doesn't look clean. Then I added more grunge, more blood, and hey, we made sure no one ever wants to stream on that platform again. Now for the last one, the Discord icon. This logo has always felt like half a face to me, so I finished it. I cut the icon out and added depth with shadows. Then I designed 4 teeth. Not human teeth, something slightly wrong. I built gums around them and placed the teeth underneath, then added shadows to both so they feel embedded. After that, I damaged the teeth because perfect teeth are unsettling, but broken ones are worse. And honestly, at this point I questioned myself if I was making a horror icon or a crackhead. I duplicated the gums and teeth to create a bottom jaw and reshaped it until it actually felt somewhat natural. Then came the wrinkles, and I always find this satisfying to do, so let's turn this into a quick shadow montage. Alright, I kept the eyes the same as the actual logo because I wanted the face to look like he locked its eyes onto a target. I added a veiny skin texture and blended it in manually at a very low opacity. Then I did the same thing for the teeth, and after, I added a human skull, extracted the jaw from it, and painted in the shadows and highlights to make it cohesive with the rest. I tried adding a hanging eyeball, but I immediately killed that idea. It took way too much of the icon concept and would be too distracting anyways. Then I added blood, warped it into place, refined it, and pushed it into the teeth. A final camera raw filter to boost contrast and add a tiny bit of those sick yellow tones, and that was it. And those are the app icons, but horror. Let me know in the comments which app was more horrific. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this, you might want to watch this next.